So I was thinking about the Warriors. Warriors schedules come out today. They have 82 games this year. And by the way, who are they only playing 3 times, JD?
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't looked at it.
All right. So the thing that I think's interesting about the Warriors and where they're at right now, and I'm gonna acknowledge the dynasty is still intact. But things are going to be different for the Warriors. And one of the things I think is going to be a challenge for them, or something they're going to have to overcome, is some of the same things that great teams and dynasties have had to overcome, and that's like this contract situation and free agency. And Joe Lacob has basically said, we got to start doing things a little differently. So I looked at the Golden State Warriors, and I see 4 guys here, JD. I see 4 guys who may need to be addressed in terms of contracts in the next 2 years. Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins, all right? Poole's going to be restricted at the end of next year. Wiggins is going to be an unrestricted free agent at the end of next year. Now we have a little bit of the monkey wrench of Draymond Green saying, hey, maybe I'm going to opt out of my player option, which could make him... This could be the final year for him under contract for the Golden State Warriors coming up. And then you got Klay Thompson for 2 years. And I'm just going to throw... I mean, they're not signing all 4 of those guys. He's essentially said that. He's not going to match a salary for Poole for 25 and then pay Wiggins 30 and then extend Draymond Green when that time comes and then pay Klay Thompson another 3 or 4 years at 40 or 50. Like, he's not going to do it. And the way... What's striking me, JD, I just want you to respond to this and we can hopefully start a discussion. What's striking me is they're mid-dynasty, but guys are playing for their jobs. And I'm talking about Draymond Green and Thompson a little bit. And this is where I think this is going to be an issue between Lacob and the fans and people who have opinions. I am firmly of the opinion that Joe Lacob, when he's got to make a tough decision, is going to be able to make a tough decision. And so how can you... It's up to Wiggins, Poole, Klay, and Draymond to determine who's viable long-term. You know what I'm saying?
I do, but I still...
you don't think it's that fraught with...
No, I don't.
Urgency.
I don't, because they're going to have all 4 of those players under contract and available this coming season. So, in essence, as Joe Lacob has alluded to, they're going to run it back beginning on October the 18th at Chase Center against the Lakers. And so that's a problem for hopefully next July. I mean, after they're making another run. To me, there's a lot more optimism of what this year can be in running it back than being some of these things may take care of themselves over the course of the next year.
Right, but okay, so you're right, and Joe Lacob wants them to be taken care of. But what I'm saying is, why? If I'm a Warrior fan, I'm looking at this saying, and I'm guru, and I'm a Warrior. I'm like, well, Poole's coming into the season. He wants to get paid. Mm-hmm. Wiggins is coming into this season. He's an unrestricted free agent. Draymond Green's already talking about a max extension.
Sure.
What I'm getting at is how's this different from Krause trying to keep the Bulls together when it's impossible to keep them together? You can't keep them together. You won't be able to.
Well, you may be able to. I mean, you may be able to. I'm not going to completely rule that out and tell it's unlikely, but I'm also not going to go into next season with saying, well, they're not, so it's over, and just rip it apart, and everybody's going to play. I'm not going to say, well, Poole's going to be selfish, and Wiggins is going to be awkward, and Draymond's going to be half pissed off all the time because he wants this or that. I'm not going to say that either. I think if it winds up being a scenario where they pick between Poole and Wiggins, but both play well this year, I'm confident enough in what the Warriors have cooking in terms of their culture and ability to run it back to where I don't think it's negatively going to... It may end at the end of this year, but I don't think it's negatively going to impact the next year. And
what do you think the biggest theme of the Warriors season's going to be this year? What's the theme? Can they repeat? See, to me,
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously a big one, but to me, it's what's going to happen. What's going to happen in the season leading up to free agency? Because I think they've got 3 guys who want to get paid. Actually, make it 4. I'm going to throw Clay in there because Clay will be up for an extension at the end of next year, at the end of this upcoming season, too. So, like, I just think that this is the year before the year that things break up. And when I say break up, I don't mean they're done. I don't know if they're done or not. As long as Curry's on this team, who knows? But I think Joe Lacob, in a way, would have been prepared to move off one of the big 3, and now they've won it. And so he's going to come back with the big 3. But I do not think he is afraid to move forward without one of them if that's what makes financial sense.
I would agree with that, but I also think he's looking at it as you got a great shot to go win another title, which would be the 5th in 9 years. And if at that point, after you've won 5 and 9, it becomes financially not viable, well, then so be it. You figure out another way to try and win maybe a little bit more cost effectively. Like, I don't think there's necessarily a problem in viewing it that way. I guess what I'm getting at is, like, do you think it's going to negatively impact this season?
I think it's possible. And that's all. And this is where I'm not creating a negative, but I'm just looking at the writing on the wall in terms of where this team is contract-wise. And they basically, look, they kicked Poole and Wiggins down the road, essentially, which I think is the move. And I think it's a good move, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost.
I would have paid Poole.
Would you really?
I would have paid Poole because I think he would be a tradable asset at a higher rate. And so I would have paid him to where he's not maybe chasing it. I don't feel like Wiggins is going to be chasing it, meaning chasing the payday, chasing the money.
Okay.
Wiggins. So right. Wiggins I would have played out as somebody that's already been paid large. That's one where I just would have said, you know what? Just keep doing what you're doing. If it contributes to winning, it'll take care of itself, Andrew, whether it's here or somewhere else. Poole, I would want to take away the young player thought process of, hey, I've already won a ring, now I got to get mine. And I really have to get, like, to me, I would have paid him to avoid him thinking he's got it, because he's young. Like, he doesn't know what he doesn't know, and he's going to think I got to go get it in a certain way. And I think that, like, I just would have taken that off the table by choosing him. But just because you choose to pay him doesn't mean he's going to be around long term.
Exactly. You're right about that. But what I think is interesting.
So I would have paid him.
But I think you're not proving my point, but you're at least supplementing it in that. Why would you have paid Jordan Poole? Well, so that he doesn't go into this year thinking, I got to play to get paid. So the mere fact that you were willing to do it shows that might be a peripheral issue with Jordan Poole. Or at least it's got to be entered into the equation. I mean, for all we know, Jordan Poole might be feeling some kind of way about not getting an extension or getting an extension this year. But I'm just looking at the Golden State Warriors and where Draymond Green is and where Klay Thompson is in particular, and then where you are with Poole and Wiggins. And, somebody right here, Steiny, the biggest difference is that Krause didn't want to keep the Bulls together. Well, you're right, he didn't. But Joe Lacob doesn't necessarily want to keep I don't think Joe Lacob is like...
I think he wants to. He just knows that it's financially not going to be feasible in all likelihood.
Right, he's not going to give Draymond Green 4 years.
Well, I wouldn't either.
Right. And so, but Draymond wants 4 years. So, something's going to happen there, right? Something coming to a head at some point.
Yeah, they also may agree to a different deal, at some point. I mean, I think the notion of Draymond saying he wanted that max, to me, was more, hey, don't think I won't opt out. Like, don't. To me, it was more. It wasn't about now. It was more about let's get something done next year, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does.
Don't think that you've just got me for 2 years automatically. I may opt out.
Right.
And therefore we're going to have to work it out. Like, I think Draymond's smart enough to know that it wasn't going to be happening for him now.
Yeah, you would think.
But you let him know now that next year we're going to have a conversation.
888-957-9570 is the number. The Golden State Warriors schedule is out. And I think Vegas has them at 53.5, 54, 55, the high side in terms of their number of wins for the season. How you feeling about that if you're a Warrior fan? I mean, to me, the hardest thing for the Golden State Warriors, if you're a fan of theirs, JD, is to try to figure out how they're going to go about a regular season. I mean, what do you try to accomplish if you're the Warriors in the regular season? You just won it all as the third seed. So the be-all and end-all is not to win 55 or 60 games. To me, that's going to be the most fascinating part of the season, is how you try to maximize the young players with staying in the playoff race and being at least a top 4 seed. But the real issue I want to know about, if you're a Golden State Warrior fan, is just kind of look, how do you bridge the gap? And even though the gap is starting to be bridged in terms of you won a title this past year, when I tell you Wiggins, Poole, Clay, Draymond, and I say, hey, put yourself in Joe Lacob's shoes, how do you make the determination of who you're keeping on this team and for how long? And my feeling is right now, JD, it's going to be hard to keep all 4 of those guys. But you don't have to make that decision right now. So, yeah, play out this year, see what Poole and Wiggins give you, and then you make a decision from there. I think that's what we're looking at. But what I'm getting at is, do you really think that will the Warriors move forward and give up on one of their younger players, and I'm talking about Wiggins here, in order to make sure that Clay or Draymond is here for the long haul?
I don't think they would do that.
And that's really
not one at the expense of the other of that. No.